Hello, my dear astro enthusiasts, and today I would like to talk to you about how astrology can be useful for you. If you decided that you need to get an astrological consultation, what should you expect, and what um, what help you can count on from an astrologer? So, in other words, what astrological services are there? Okay, and we are going to start with one that is major, very basic, and most common is the analysis of your birth chart. What is that? What does that include? Let's talk a little bit about that. So, your astrological, your horoscope, your birth chart, your horoscope is let's say, produced basing on the following information: your date of birth, place of birth, and time of birth. Okay, so that gives us the full picture of the following: of your capabilities, of your strong suits, of your weaknesses, probably, and besides all of that, how this all plays out, what kind of events, how it all plays out in your in different spheres of your life. Okay, so what spheres of life are there that are going to be covered at the consultation with the astrologer, talking about your birth chart? Most probably the astrologer is going to talk about the 12 spheres of your life, which are the 12 houses. Number one is you, your personality. Number two, I will tell very briefly just to not overload you with information and give you a general idea. Number two is your income, your resources. Number three, that's your contacts, your neighbors, your relatives like cousins or sisters, brothers. I don't know, your skills that you go study, for example. Number four is your family, your background, your, let's say, roots, the house where you live. Number four, your real estate. Number five is your children, your vacation, the activities that you're engaged in connection with some sort of competition, sports, or entertainment, let's say. Number six are your routines. It is also a house connected with the health stemming from the routines. Your everyday life can be your job, can be people that work for you. House number seven, which is the axis, first, seventh house. This is ascendant, descendant axis. Number seven is our partners, all of our partners, that's other people. These are our partners in marriage, for example. Or this is our partners in our business that we work with, or this is the house through which goes our clients. If, for example, you have client-oriented business, this is the house where you should look for the kind of clients or any kind of clients interaction. House number 8 is the house of crisis, stress, but also the money of other people. When I'm saying, so we are checking for finance and banking and insurance and whatnot through the 8th house. House number 9, this is the house of our expansion in a cultural and mental and educational way. It's higher education. It's our trips somewhere far away. That's it is something to do with legislation system too. House number 10 is a very important house that also forms another main axis of the horoscope, which is the 4th and 10th house, where, as I said, mentioned earlier, 4th house is the roots, our background, and the 10th house is the highest social status, let's say, highest social achievements that we can go for in our life. So this is house of the career and achievements, like I said, an extremely important house. House number 11, that's the house of the friends and networks and interest-based groups that we participate in. And house number 12 is the information that usually we are unaware of, the secret enemies, just something from our subconscious, some maybe sides to us or to our personality that we are blindsided to. So this is very briefly the information about the spheres of life that you can get a feedback from an astrologer during the birth chart consultation. Yeah, that's a lot. Usually it takes a while. Then what else can an astrologer do for you? Of course, if you don't want the whole birth chart to be explained to you and you are interested in a more concrete information, for example, only about the relationship, just one sphere, yeah, only about the relationship, or only about the career, or only about the professional, let's say, opportunities, or like to just give you an orientation where you should look for your vacation, let's say, yeah, if you are lost in that part. That is more like a consultation on one sphere of your horoscope, yeah, and that is going to be probably a shorter consultation and a more focused one on the issue that you have at hand. Then, what else can an astrologer do for you? Prognosis, of course. Prognosis can be is probably going to include the explanation of the current tendencies that you are in. Is going to explain what is happening and how. Maybe the astrologer is going to be able to highlight the things that you didn't know about the trend that is ongoing in your life, or that you didn't pay attention to. Maybe some details are more important than you consider them to be. And the astrologer is going to explain how this trend is going to develop into the future. Where it is going to take you, most probably, yeah. And here, some help to the I know that there are people that, oh, I don't believe in this, and I'm not gonna tell you anything. I just want to hear what you have to say. Well, the thing is that the same combination of, let's say, planets, houses, and aspects, and all of these things can mean, in the normal life context, can mean many things. Okay, so if you guide your astrologer along the way and not explain but help with the situation at hand, which is your life context, you're going to be able to get a more precise answers to your questions. Or you can just listen and not say anything, and just for yourself to translate it into your own situation, to listen from an astrologer a general trend and translate it into your own situation, which I think is less effective, to be honest with you, but it's up to you. Yeah, so what else is there? You need to know, of course, about the period. The period of time is usually 1 year, more or less, but sometimes it happens that this year is, for example, relatively quiet, but I can see that there is a tendency coming that is that is going to peak in 2 years, for example. And I don't know about other people, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna go into too much details and extend the period of prognostics from 1 year to 3. I'm not gonna do that, but I will tell you to beware of, for example, in 3 years, gonna be 2026. Yeah, pay attention to this area. If I see some problematic aspect coming. What are you going to get for this year, even if everything, whether it's an easy peasy year or it's a year that is going to be difficult for you, you're going to get more or less the list of periods that are going to be favorable for specific activities, and the list of periods that you have to keep your eyes open and be more careful with certain aspects of your life. Okay, so I think that if you know that, you are going to be able to plan your year, your life in general, much better than if you don't. And yeah, also, when you know that you have a potentially you can have a problem coming, you are more, it is more probable than not that you are going to prepare yourself to mitigate some consequences, yeah, for yourself, which is great. This is like to make either to make it less stressful, the crisis, to prepare things for it, or to control, to do the damage control, one way or the other, or both. And if it is a favorable period, it is also great to know it. Not because, favorable periods are very tricky when everything is super smooth, our life is smooth sailing. We tend to relax and and miss out on opportunities. And if you know that, wow, this is my window of opportunity, this is my corridor, then I have to go for it. And you are going to be prepared and not thinking, there will be 10 more offers like this, and there won't be. And you are going to, this is it, I'm going for it. World, be ready for me. Well, anyway. So this is prognosis. What else can an astrologer do for you? What can you ask an astrologer to do for you? There is such a thing as a synastry, and in simple terms, it's just compatibility. Synastry, usually we are talking about, you can actually compatibility between whatever, two charts. Chart can be of a person, of an event, of even of a building, if you please, but doesn't matter. Right now we are talking about, let's say, compatibility between people, yeah? And usually people want to know about their life partner, their compatibility with the life partner, with a husband, with a prospect husband, with a two different, for example, prospect boyfriends, and that's fine. But also, it's not limited to that. You can also go to an astrologer and check the compatibility with your prospect business partner. Basically, whether or not this guy or this woman is going to be able, this person is going to be able to help you make money or not. Maybe it's a wonderful person, very competent, just great, but somehow his or her planet goes into problematic areas of your chart, and which means basically that except problems you will have very little of income or whatever good things that you're expecting from this partnership. So this is another thing that you can expect the astrologer to help you with. Synastry. Next, what is interesting? Rectification. Rectification is basically for the people, because like I said before, astrology works with a chart. Chart is based on the following information, which is date of birth, place of birth, and time of birth. So some people know place and date, but have no clue what the time is. Some people know that they were born around morning, others around evening, others know more or less 3 hours, 2 hours, 10 minutes, doesn't matter. Astrology can help you rectify the time. But what you have to keep in mind that it is like an artificial, let's say, way to do it, because there is no magic, there is no miracle. Astrology is about analysis, okay? So you, astrologer, can try and find the working chart, the working horoscope. That is, what does it mean, working horoscope? How do we know that it works? Very easy. If prognostics works, meaning the prognosis that the astrologer gave you works, it means that it was rectified correctly. Okay, it means it's a working chart. I don't know whether or not it was like historically correct. Let's say if the chart is working, that's good enough, and the chart is working if the prognosis is right. Okay, so it is a very complicated procedure, quite long one, requires a lot of concentration and work with details. But to do that, astrologers usually will send you a questionnaire, an extended one, where you will have to fill out the major events of your life with the date, as close to the date as you can remember. Okay, and they are going to make sure that let's say in this date and this time, the planets that were, anyway, it doesn't matter. You don't need these details. Just if you don't know the time that you were born, for astrology you need this. Astrology can help you restore it. What you need to do is fill out the questionnaire and basically get the answer. And if the prognosis works, then the chart is working fine. Okay. Next, moving on. Usually it is much harder. The longer the period, one more thing, the longer the period to look for, the harder it is, obviously. Yeah. If you know that you were born within these 2 minutes, 15 minutes, it's very fast to check. If it is 24 hours, it's a completely different story. That requires a different approach. Anyway, doesn't matter. But that is also what you can do. What else can astrologer do for you? There is such thing as giving an answer to horary question. What does that mean? It means that, like I said, I will have to refer back to what I said all the time. Astrology works with a chart based on the time, date, time, place. Yeah. So if you think of the question that is very important to you, you don't have the answer, it is sometimes useful to fix the time that this question came to your mind. And using this time, place where you were, and date, astrologer can check for the answer in the chart of this question. But there are several buts. It's like an express method, let's say. It's quite fast. But what you need to remember is that first and foremost, this question has to be about you, or something that you, let's say, physically touch with your life. Yeah, that you are in, let's say, physical contact, that is in physical contact with your life. What I mean is that if, for example, I have a question about I don't know, the investigation of death of Kennedy, you will not get an answer to that, because you have nothing to do, most probably. You have nothing to do, not with the Kennedy family, not with the killing, not with the like global politics, not with the politicians like of the time, for example, or you have nothing to do with the situation. So let's say universe owes you nothing, no answer. But if this is a question that is specifically about your life situation, for example, will I be able to pay out the mortgage? Will the bank cancel my, I don't know, whatever, payments? Will I be fired? Or like, will I get married during the next 3 months? All of these questions you can get answer to. Another thing about our questions, they shouldn't be for a very long time. For example, it is useless to ask like about, in the next 10 years will I be this level at the job. No, it's much better to check your prognosis for this for these things. Or a question is very fast. They're like very short-lived, let's say. So I would recommend around 3 months, more or less. Definitely not longer than 1 year. Definitely not. Yeah. So yes. Another important thing about oral question, it has to be very concrete. Okay, and it has to be clear to the astrologer. It is not because the astrologer is trying to pry in your personal affairs. No, it's just because to translate the answer to the question that you had in your head correctly from the astrological language into the human, let's say, we need to understand the nature of the question. You understand? So we don't care so much about that, what exactly you want to know about, but we need to understand the nature of the question to see what kind of significators, is there a word in English? I'm not sure. Okay, what kind of planets, what kind of houses are in there. And another thing about horary question is that sometimes there is no answer. There is no answer. And it can mean several things. Either the situation is not at a point where the answer is clear, or that the person that is asking doesn't need to know the answer. Sometimes it works like this. Don't ask me. I am not. I am the strong believer that astrology is an extremely strong tool, but A, it doesn't give all the answers in the world, and B, it doesn't make an astrologer, in this case me, like an expert in the universe and the ideas of the universe. But this is exactly how it works. Sometimes you just don't need to know the answer, you are not ready for the answer, or the situation is not at the point where the answer is more or less clear. Things happen. Okay, so this is Horary question. Very interesting service, let's say. And the one more that I wanted to tell you about is the election. Election, not of the president, but of the date. Basically, that's choosing favorable date for the certain event. Of course, you don't need that to go to astrologer every time you go on a date. Oh, is it going to be the one? Is it my Prince Charming? It's useless and unnecessary. However, it would be very useful to use the astrologer service while picking, for example, the date of your wedding, the date of signing a very important agreement, contract, and whatsoever. If you are buying a house, for example, would be great to check with the astrologer, to check the date with the astrologer, in order to make sure that no extra obstacles are going to arise along the way. Yeah, so what does the astrologer need? Like basically you say, I have 2 weeks or 3 months or half a year. Can you find me the best date? Be aware that it doesn't guarantee that you are going to be protected from all the obstacles of the world by choosing the best date. The best date available in the range that you asked for can not be so great. It's just going to be the least terrible out of everything that is available. For example, it is also possible. Even there is another aspect to it. Even if let's call it the weather in the sky, yeah, is very favorable to what you're doing right now. Yeah, for example, you're doing something, I don't know, the plastic surgery, and the Venus is great and the Mars is great. They both are great. So Venus is like aesthetical side of the issue that is going to make you look better, and Mars is something that is connected with the blades and the cutting edges and operations, for that matter. Yeah. Because it's quite intrusive process connected. Well, anyway, you understand. So Mars is great also. It means that you will that the operation is going to be successful. But in your chart specifically, there are planets that get a lot of damage from this current sky situation, and these planets that are getting damage are the ones in your first house, for example, the house of your appearance, of our health too. And then it's not recommended. So whatever the date, whatever it is that the date that is chosen by the astrologer, it has to be not only, it's a quite complicated thing, not only favorable in terms of the current sky situation, let's say, current transit situation, but also has to fit well, or at least, at the very least, not do any damage in your chart. Okay, so it's a quite complicated story. And again, like I said, sometimes it happens that there is no great date. You say, oh, I need to sign this contract in the next 2 weeks, and in the next 2 weeks there is an eclipse, there is whatever, and it's just pure turbulence, and it's a bad time. It's a bad time. And when it comes to astrology, the dates that matter, really keep it in mind, is the dates that we make all of our negotiations, let's say physical, by putting a signature on a contract, on a paper. So this is the date that matters. You can have negotiations, you can discuss things, you can go back and forth, you can get the keys, do whatever oral transfer of rights, whatever, but the day that you sign the paper is very, very, very important, most important, because this is the one that we are going to base our judgment on. We are going to make the chart of it, okay? So that is that. There are also some things that I, for example, don't do, but others do, like karmic analysis of your birth chart. I definitely think that it is very important, but I don't go too deeply into it. Whatever you need, I think that it is important to know. Whatever I think that it is important to know for you in that regard, if it is important for your particular chart, I'm going to tell you during the general birth chart analysis. Yeah, there are astrologers that do a completely separate consultation about the karma of your chart. Also, some astrologers do the children's chart analysis in order to help analyze the strong suits of the children and help the parents develop the children in the right way, and also pay attention to maybe some dangerous points for the child to look out for our little ones. And also going to give you a couple of probably tips on how to build in a most effective way the relationship with your little one, because it is very often, more often than not, it's very challenging. Our children can be the greatest challenge for us, because they are sometimes so similar with us, but so different. And it produces a lot of complications in the relationship. So astrologer can maybe pay attention to some things that as a parent are going to be very important or even crucial for you. So yeah, long story short, this is it. The birth chart analysis, which includes all of the spheres of life. Maybe some will be highlighted more than the others because they are more important for you, more highlighted in your chart than others. And then analysis of one sphere of life, which can be your career, your relationship, your children, and so on and so forth. Prognosis. Then synastry, which is compatibility, can be both romantic and business. Rectification, which is the search of the working horoscope that is going to be useful in terms of creating efficient and accurate prognosis. The horary question, the question that is going to, like for which you need to remember the time that it came to you, or if you don't, then astrologer maybe is going to use the time that you send the message to the astrologer. And also election, which is the choosing of the date for the important events. So guys, I think in general, I have to say that I think that astrology is a very, very powerful tool, and it doesn't depend on you believe or you don't believe, but it is a powerful tool that is able to provide help and guidance, let's say, in both difficult situation and also help you to stay alert in the favorable conditions and not to get too carried away with the relaxations and enjoyment, and to use the opportunities, not to miss the opportunities that are coming your way. So guys, you can come to the astrologer if you feel like, and I think that we are going to be very happy to be helpful to you. I'll see you in the next videos.